However, there are two factions here, and some of them are racist on the right, and some of them are racist on the left, and the people on the left don't think they're racist, and the people on the right also don't think they're racist, but Twitter says the only one that matters are the people on the right, for the most part, because that's what's going to cause damage to our bottom line. BuzzFeed has gotten its hands on leaked emails from Twitter that shows an internal struggle within the company as they tried to better understand the verification process and how to deal with their perceived problem users. You may remember back in January of 2016 when Milo Yiannopoulos was unverified, it created kind of a controversy. Now, the official reason were unspecified rules violations. And as many of you are aware, Milo was eventually permanently suspended for the platform. But these emails paint a very interesting picture. People inside Twitter, all the way to the top, had no idea, for one, how to deal with Milo, but also what constituted verification in the first place. Originally, verification was supposed to be about proving your identity and preventing impersonation. But people within Twitter acknowledged that when you're verified, you get some perks. You get a special feature in your @mention section. You get search ranking priority, in which case they felt that they were facing a real problem. Now, according to BuzzFeed, the internal confusion and frustration arose after an email Yiannopoulos sent to Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey asking for his verification badge to be restored in exchange for a détente. Essentially, it seems that Milo emailed Twitter saying that he would chill out if they gave him his badge back. Certainly that didn't happen, and as we know, again, it ultimately led to his permanent suspension. BuzzFeed goes on to say, the messages reveal that Twitter's rules, many of which have undergone changes in 2017, were so vague and opaque that even the company's leadership struggled to interpret and execute them. Indeed, the communications reviewed by BuzzFeed News suggest that within Twitter there was no clear consensus on what the company's verification badge meant. The blue checkmark, first introduced in 2009, was supposed to prevent impersonation, but according to the emails, some inside Twitter viewed verification as both an endorsement and a badge of validity, especially among journalists and celebrities. Now, Twitter never said what the rule violations were. As I just showed you in the BuzzFeed article, it was unspecified. But in these leaked emails, we can see exactly what Milo did to warrant being de-verified. As a reminder, during the last 2 weeks alone, he has falsely identified himself as a BuzzFeed editor in his bio, prompted an emergency media team escalation. So I'm going to stop there. That actually is pretty serious. If Twitter is trying to verify you to prove you are who you say you are, and then you say that you're a BuzzFeed editor when you clearly aren't, you're screwing with the verification process. If it is about preventing impersonation, not just on a personal level, but on a professional level, so that people know if you're verified, you work for who you say you work for, your bio, everything is legit. There are people who say they're writers at the New York Times, there are people who say they're writers at BuzzFeed, etc. Verification helps authenticate that. But if Milo's going to say he's a BuzzFeed editor when he's not, he's impersonating a BuzzFeed editor, essentially, and that actually is a problem. In my opinion, it would not be unreasonable to remove someone's verification badge if they're lying about who they work for, but let's keep going and see where this ends up. He tweeted to Kanye West naked pictures of his wife and insinuated that she's a whore. Continued his standard practice of writing hit pieces. They add factual accuracy unclear. They've linked to sites like Encyclopedia Dramatica and NCN content in the past. Tweeting directly at the target of his piece to taunt them about it. Target already has him blocked, and subtly inciting mob harassment and/or posting screenshots of people who have blocked him, mocking that person and tagging them anyway to subtly incite mob harassment. See latest example in email below. Tweeted this, which could be interpreted as an attempt to intimidate, silence women, a protected group, and many more examples. Out of those things, the only thing that stands out to me as to why they removed Milo's verification badge is that he claimed he was a BuzzFeed editor. That I can understand because that creates a problem for BuzzFeed and Twitter, and it essentially is impersonation of a BuzzFeed editor. So in a sense, he was using that verification badge to actually help him impersonate an employee of another company. Posting screenshots of people who have blocked him, mocking that person, and tagging them anyway to subtly incite mob harassment. That's really interesting. They claimed the same thing to permanently ban him when he was getting into a Twitter fight with Leslie Jones. That simply by tagging her, he was inciting or brigading people to go after Leslie Jones. That's really interesting because just the other day, we saw a tweet from Rosie O'Donnell. replying at Ben Shapiro, suck my dick Ben, and sure enough, you're going to get all of Rosie O'Donnell's followers now coming onto Ben Shapiro's Twitter feed and coming after him, essentially. If they're going to claim that by Milo tagging people who have him blocked, he was inciting mob harassment, well, there's many other users that do similarly and aren't being banned for it. Now, I understand that in Milo's case, it was many small instances that led them to make the policy decision to remove him. And in the BuzzFeed article, there's a quote, "We perma-suspended Chuck Johnson even though it wasn't direct violent threats. It was just a call that the policy team made. He is finding loopholes in policy, which is almost worse than the people who blatantly have violations." So there you have it. This is what the struggle was for Twitter. Milo knew he wasn't directly violating anything Twitter was doing, but was using loopholes to effectively troll and build a following and be Milo. Despite Yiannopoulos' ongoing bad behavior on the platform and violations of Twitter rules, it would take another 7 months before Twitter ultimately suspended him. The final straw for the company was the targeted harassment campaign he brought against actress Leslie Jones. Shortly after Yiannopoulos' suspension, Dorsey sent an email to Twitter employees pledging to make safety a top-level priority of the company. Now, when Milo was suspended, it was framed as his targeted harassment campaign against Leslie Jones. And a lot of people don't agree with that assessment of what happened. Many people simply say he's a journalist who is criticizing Leslie Jones for making a bad movie. And that if you're a celebrity on Twitter with millions of followers, you're certainly going to get a lot of people tweeting at you, regardless of whether or not Milo Yiannopoulos is the one who's doing it. And not only that, Milo can't control his fans. Simply by tagging somebody in his tweets is not directing somebody to attack another person. However, it seems that Twitter takes a different view, and due to a culmination of instances, Milo was banned. But there's more to this story, because we have another statement from Sinead McSweeney, Twitter's Vice President of Public Policy and Communications for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, has said, "It is no longer possible to stand up for all speech." Twitter once described itself as the free speech wing of the Free Speech Party. But as many of you are probably aware, that is no longer the case. According to Business Insider, McSweeney said, "I look back over the last 5.5 years, and the answers I would have given to some of these questions 5 years ago were very different. Twitter was in a place where it believed the most effective antidote to bad speech was good speech. It was very much a John Stuart Mill style philosophy. We've realized the world we live in has changed. We've had to go on a journey with it, and we've realized it's no longer possible to stand up for all speech in the hope society will become a better place because racism will be challenged, or homophobia challenged, or extremism will be challenged. And we do have to take steps to limit the visibility of hateful symbols, to ban people from the platform who affiliate with violent groups. That's the journey we're on." And that is total crap. Because Antifa has faced no repercussions for their attacks on innocent people. Now, yes, keeping in mind, Antifa is a loose-knit group of various sects, but there are specific groups, and I'm not going to name any of these groups specifically, but there are specific Antifa factions that have branded names that operate in certain areas. And some of these people have committed acts of violence against others. But it's clear it's not about the act of violence, it's about the, I would say, PR backlash due to the violence. Many people I know aren't even aware of the bike lock basher, the guy in Berkeley who bashed several people over the head with a bike lock. Many people aren't aware of the violence that ensued on both sides at many of these free speech rallies. They're not aware that Antifa in Berkeley was also throwing M80s, mortars, improvised smoke bombs, and generally starting fights in the name of anti-fascism. So Twitter takes specific actions against those associated with the far right and with racism, but leaves people associated with the far left even when they are posting racist things. Because it's clear that Twitter isn't trying to protect speech or do what's right, they're trying to save face when it comes to PR. And this is not just my opinion. Back in the BuzzFeed article, there's a quote, "I want to make sure we are doing the right thing here and not responding to external pressure or attacks from him. We've already taken the PR hit. So let's make sure we are focused on getting this right." When it comes to the issue of Milo, they mentioned they were already damaged by bad PR, so they're just going to figure out how to do this right. But it would be naive to assume that any company isn't taking public relations into account when they're making their decisions. What kind of backlash will Twitter see if they start banning people who say things like kill white people or kill men? They're probably going to see a lot of backlash from the far left. But If they don't ban people on the right, then the media is going to write about it. They're going to complain that Twitter is supporting Nazis and the far right, and it's going to make Twitter look bad, and it might damage their company's value. Their stock value might go down. The media doesn't care if people are on Twitter saying kill white people and kill men. In fact, many people at these digital media outlets think it's fine, and they laugh about it. But clearly, somebody who's posting hate directed at a specific group is in violation of Twitter's policies. So again, the only reason, in my opinion, we see Twitter going after the right is because the media will write about it. And the media does not write about people on the far left saying things that are almost as egregious. So therein lies the problem with a company like Twitter. They can't support free speech, especially for people on the right, because sponsors will drop out, media companies will attack them, and the company will cease to function. I don't think this is an issue of ideology per se. I don't think people at Twitter are planning on destroying their opponents in politics. Certainly some people are, absolutely. But this really does have to do with the fact that Twitter needs to attract sponsors like any other company. And it has to do with Twitter trying to avoid taking bad PR and losing value and ceasing to function. At the end of the day, they're going to do whatever they have to do to survive. And the truth is, the media and mainstream culture does not care if people are posting things attacking white people or attacking men. My stance on the matter, I think people should stop ragging on each other based on their gender or race. However, there are two factions here, and some of them are racist on the right and some of them are racist on the left, and the people on the left don't think they're racist, and the people on the right also don't think they're racist, but Twitter says the only one that matters are the people on the right, for the most part, because that's what's going to cause damage to our bottom line. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll keep the conversation going. Is Twitter ideologically driven? Are employees within Twitter doing this because of their personal politics, or is this just about protecting their bottom line? If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Timcast for breaking news and live streams around the world. And if you want to support my work, go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like or give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. And stay tuned, live streams periodically. And make sure to check out my second channel. The link is in the description below. And this is mostly a backup channel, but I do periodically have videos on there that are less worldly. Usually it's more of my opinion on personal issues having to do with politics. So again, subscribe there. If anything ever happens to this channel, I will be active there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow at 4.